let's get to our segment here called Trick or Treat, because Halloween less than a week away. We're going to do it with their teams in the NFC North. Who's for real and who is tricking us? Who's fooling us? But first, let's take a look at the standings here. The Packers 4-1-1. The Lions 5-2. Bears now 4-3. And then the Vikings are 3-4. As we start with the Packers here, Jim, I'll start with you. Trick or treat for the Green Bay Packers?
They are a treat. They are a good team, but they need to play with a lead. Everybody thinks they got a good run defense. They do not. So do not fall behind the Green Bay Packers, but they're for real.
Okay.
I'm going to go trick on the Packers. I've seen them in some close games versus teams that a Packers team where it feels like we're kind of putting them should be able to put away. Last week versus Arizona, a really close game versus Jacoby Brissett. You mentioned the run defense. They were getting gashed the entire time, and Brissett using his legs to extend plays. Like, who would have thought we'd be having that conversation? So I'm going to go trick on the Green Bay Packers. Sure. I feel like what we've seen is a little bit of trickeration early on.
Okay. Chris?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you, wish I could say trick or treat, but I mean, you got a good team.
You got to pick one.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Is that a Charlie Brown rock?
I know.
But I pick one.
Yeah, I lean more towards treat just because they are a good football team. The sum of their parts means they're a good team. They're 4-1-1 for a reason. They got 4 wins. But sometimes I look at that team and I'm like, the guy that you're paying the most money to on that team and the guy that you're paying the second most amount of money to in that team are two very completely different things. So you got Micah Parsons being the guy who's a big reason why that defense is so good, but then the quarterback's getting paid $55 million a year, and he's not at the top of the he's not at the top of the stats and the leaderboards. He's not the guy that you're paying that much money.
He's fourth lowest in interceptions, and they score 28 points a game. They want to play with the lead. That way they can crank up Micah Parsons. That's their whole game plan. And right now they're offensively, I believe they're top 4 in the league.
So
they're a good offense. 2
treats for Green Bay and 1 trick for Green Bay. Up next, the Lions are 5-2. Trick or treat, Jim?
They're a treat. That team's for real. They compete. That whole roster is full of competitors. Look what they did with their secondary, just decimated. And Dan Campbell, he likes gets them cranked up like wind-up dolls, man. They're like when Brian Branch got suspended. Hey, we got to win this for our brother, and they responded in kind. That team can score a boatload of points, and they playing with a lot of a chip on their shoulder defensively. They're not as good as what they need to be, but guys are filling in, stepping up, and playing well, and they'll get those starters back defensively. That team's for real.
Yeah, that's a treat. That's what do they say when you go to the house? It gives the full-size Snicker bars. I mean, that's what the Lions are right now. I mean, they've been a team that has continued to look exactly at times like they did last year. Their run game's a little bit different here, more focused on Gibbs than it is on Montgomery, and I think that may affect them differently towards the end of the season. But no matter what, I think you've got this defense playing back at a much more competitive level with guys being healthy this year. And offensively, Jared Goff, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he just have a game where he completed 89% of his passes or something? Like, that's a treat. That's one I want to be a part of.
Yeah, if you want to continue the Halloween analogies, I like to think of them as that, the first game against the Packers where they had that stinker at Lambeau. It's kind of like the first couple houses you go to and you put your hand in there and it's like, Tootsie Roll. You're like, that's a bummer. But
fruit snacks.
Wait, I like Tootsie Rolls. Okay.
We'll get back to that later. But this is also the team that later on in the evening when you go to some of those other houses, they're trying to get rid of that candy where they get you the king-size bar, that big Reese's where you're like, oh yeah, that's the stuff. This is a treat. That team is always going to be a treat, and they're set up to be a treat for the next couple years too.
All right, up next, the Vikings, 3-4, coming off of a blowout loss to the Chargers. Kevin O'Connell said he didn't do a good job of preparing his team. Jim, trick or treat with the Vikings?
They are a trick. They're like a fraudulent candy bar. I think when they get J.J. McCarthy back, they're actually going to be worse on offense. They've lost a ton of their offensive linemen. Darisaw and Brian O'Neill, their tackles. They lead the league in giving up sacks right now, and I don't think J.J. McCarthy coming back. They really just wanted the young buck to rest because things were happening too fast for him. Yeah. And now that he is a little bit healthier and Wentz is beat up, they're going to have to go back to J.J. McCarthy. But that team is fraudulent. They are a trick. in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with Jim on this one. It's a trick. I mean, I'm not even going to lie to you. I think when you talk about fake candy, I don't even know if there was candy in the bowl with J.J. McCarthy. I think literally they saw 2 games and they were like, hey, kid, isn't your ankle hurt? Go sit down for a little while. Your ankle's going to be hurt for a few weeks. Watch what we got going on here. I think it's a full-on trick. And I think what's even worse is when you figured out what the trick was, it was Carson Wentz. That puts you in an even worse situation there.
I mean, if you continuing Halloween analogies, if you have that Tootsie Roll where you're like, oh, this is good chocolate,
you
but
really
you
got
keep
beef with Tootsie Roll.
You keep
I
chewing
love
and
Tootsie
chewing.
Rolls. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like the more that we chewed on this Minnesota team, like Jim is saying, like they have their mistakes and their issues are really starting to come to the forefront here, and you can't just stop chewing on it because your offensive line is hurt. You can't. It's like, I just got to take it out of your mouth and be like, all right, we're moving on to something else. Get that Detroit Lions big candy bar back in there too. But no, like this is a team that's gotten so banged up, that's gotten hurt. We talked about the Bears getting hurt too and banged up too, but the Vikings are so banged up to a point. One of my really good friends is a Vikings fan, will always say every week, I don't think we got it this week. I was like, oh, where's that pessimism coming from? But but I think it's part of it is because of that. It's because there's just we keep going back to that week 1 loss on Monday Night Football. And
that hurts right now.
It hurts, but that's Kevin O'Connell and coaching in his his 3rd, 4th season where Ben Johnson was in game 1. And I mean, if you play that game now, it's probably a different outcome.
All right. Last but certainly not least, the Bears. They are now 4-3. Trick or treat, Jim.
I think they're a treat. I think they're slowly making progress, what we call incremental progress. I like the tough-mindedness of the coach. They are going to finish stronger. He is going to get this offense corrected, and it will make up for any lack of defensive stoutness that they have. This offense, I've said it the whole offseason, the offense needs to carry the team. Yeah. And so they've got to work out these issues and start to grab the reins of this horse and start to steer it. I believe it's going to happen here pretty soon.
No, I'm right there
They're
with
close.
Jim. I think that, listen, today's game is the one time this season where I've criticized some of the play calls of Ben Johnson. On the flip side of that, there's not many times where you can criticize the play calling of Ben Johnson. He's put his guys in a position to be successful. I think over time, as we get to the end of this season, right, we will look back at this Bears offense and say it was much more of a treat than it was a trick. Because remember, Nagy was here year 1 and you got offensive linemen or defensive linemen running in touchdowns. You're trying to pay homage to the fridge. You're running the I formation. That's a lot of tricks. This is good football that we're seeing, and it's just about the players making the right play.
Della, don't let today fool you a little bit, because I like to point out, I mean, the Ravens are 1-5, sure, but I mean, this is a team that also knows how to win a lot. But I think this...
That looked like the Ravens defense we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and I think this team is a treat compared to what we've seen the last couple of years.
That's true.
I mean, that's my thing. Everyone want to keep saying, oh, like, let's get that playoff push. Let's think about the playoff picture. But we're not there yet. But just think about what this team is doing in year 1 of Ben Johnson, where, yeah, there's some undisciplined things. We're starting to see assignments that are missed. But I mean, right now, like this team has given Chicago a lot of hope for the future. Like, this is what it looks like in year 1 where stuff's not coming together. Imagine what it looks like down the line when he can get his hands truly in there and say, this is what we're going to do. We know we can do it, and we've been doing it for years. So the routine is now the routine plays.